Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I just wanted to create a video talking about my current moon phase spiritual practice, the decks I use, as well as how I track the moon phases. And I also wanted to explain a little bit about how I work with each moon phase. So I guess it would make more sense to start off by explaining which moon phases I work with. I currently work with the maiden, mother, and crone aspects of the moon phases. So the waning and waxing crescents, as well as the full moon and the new moon. If you are new to my channel, I devote a significant amount of my spiritual practice to the goddess Hecate. I work with the moon phases that are associated with her, so the crone moon phase, as well as the dark moon, or the astrological new moon. So they're a huge part of my spiritual practice at the moment. I am going through a huge change in my life. I'm going to go into that more in my September wrap-up video, which should be coming soon as well, if not at the same time as this video. But how I like to keep track of the moon phases is what I usually do is I will spend the week before the new month keeping track of the upcoming moon phases, and I like to put them in my bullet journal. This is just a bullet journal from Notebook Therapy, and I like to create a calendar spread for the moon phases that I work with. So that's just basically how I like to use this as a planner. By the way, the link to this notebook is in the description box below. So this is the Witching Hour Oracle. It's published by US Games. I recently picked this up, I think at the beginning of the month. I got it pretty early this month, I definitely want to say. And I really enjoy this deck because, like the Lantern Oracle, it is split into the Maiden, Mother, and Crone. And this deck goes by, like, each card is titled, like, this is the blue moon. I think there's a crone moon for the moon phases in March. There is also a harvest moon, which would be correlating to this month, September's moon phases. And then there's 3 cards for each. So you have your maiden, mother, and crone, or your waxing, waning, and full moon phases. I like to use this deck in 2 different ways. So I will either pick a card like you would any other deck. I would just shuffle. I would usually choose how many cards I feel drawn to pulling. And then I will read the energy like this, or I will go to the guidebook and I would choose the corresponding moon phase. So we have a full moon coming up on the 29th of this month. So I would find in the guidebook the full moon or the mother figure of the harvest moon in the guidebook. So it might be easier to actually find. Here she is. So I know she's number 26 in the guidebook, so I would go to 26. I would read the passage, and then I would create a tarot spread or journal prompts based on the passage. Another way that you can do it is you can pull cards from the deck and then create a tarot spread using the cards that fall out. Oh, that almost fell into the flame. So I would create a tarot spread using these 2 cards. So that's another way that I like to do it as well. And then going to the next deck, once I have a tarot spread, I'm going to pull out my Soul Cats Tarot. This is another mass market deck. It's, I think, by Llewellyn. So this deck I've showed quite a lot on my channel. I really like using this deck for the moon phases because I find that this deck has a lot of lunar energy. The guidebook talks about moon phases as well. So I would pull from this deck, and like I would pull maybe 1 to 3 cards depending on what's going on in my life and what I'm using that current moon phase for. I would pull 1 to 3 cards for each question in the tarot spread that I created using the Witching Hour Oracle. So I pretty much only use this deck for moon phase work at the moment. I don't use this deck to do card a day pulls. To be honest, I just use it for lunar stuff at this moment. So that's actually, this is the only tarot deck that I have here. Another thing that I like to do is I like to work with the dark moon and the waning moon. So I use the dark moon, I work with it more as the new moon. So I like to journal intentions. I will usually set up an offering for Hecate. It's usually red wine, to be honest with you. It's been herbal tea. I just gave her, I think, a cinnamon tea. I'll give her peach teas, raspberry teas, mint teas even. So I've done that quite a lot. As well as sometimes I give her food. I'll give her leftovers from dinner. But that is one thing that I really like to do on the new moon, the astrological new moon, or the dark moon, as some of you would know it as. So for working with the new moon, as I said, I just like to journal intentions. But for the waning crescent, which is also, as I mentioned earlier in this video, it's associated with Hecate, at least in my opinion, as a crone. I like to work with the Lantern Oracle here. I know I'm not the only person who works with Hecate who uses this deck. It's an excellent deck if you work with Hecate and you're looking for something that has Maiden, Mother, and Crone kind of built into the structure of the deck. Like the Witching Hour deck that I just showed you, this has Maiden, Mother, and Crone throughout the artwork of this deck. So I think it's even split. It is split into the Maiden, Mother, and Crone. I think like, yeah, Mother, and then it's probably Maiden, and then Crone at the back. So I like to work with this deck when I need to release something in my life, if I'm going through significant transformations or transitions in my life, which I oftentimes do. If you haven't seen my Death Energy video, I talked all about that. So I don't really want to get into it now, but I really pull from this deck usually when I'm going through difficult situations and I need to really target something that I need to release, which is how I work with the waning crescent and the crone energy. Last deck that I have on here is the Oracle of Portals. This is a new deck to my collection. I purchased this, as I've said, I'm going through a significant transition in my life at the moment, and this deck, it's based on liminal spaces that you can experience in your life, such as transitions, right? So I purchased this in the hopes of working with it while I'm going through my own transitions in my life. However, I found this deck to be really weird with me when I was trying to get more information on my transitions. I kept pulling the same 2 cards basically. So I had the thought last week to try this deck with the current moon phase, and it really worked. So I'll share with you what I basically use it for. So what you would do is you would pull a card just asking the question of how the transition or the current moon phase, how the transition to the next moon phase will energetically read to you, or like what would happen basically as you transition to the next moon phase. So I really enjoyed using that deck for that purpose. I think it basically told me, actually, why don't I just go into my journal? I'll tell you what it told me. I got unknown and exit. So it was basically saying that the fear of the unknown, or that aspect of my transition, would be ending soon. So it would become more of like a routine. There would be more structure around it. So that's how I basically read that energy, and that's how it's kind of unfolding now that it's been a little bit more time. Things have settled a bit more basically in my life. That's all the decks that I wanted to share here. That's all I currently use in my practice at the moment. But yeah, another thing that you can do is you can also work with the moon phases like alongside your period. If you are a person that menstruates, this is something that can pop up if you're new to working with moon phases. I've had situations in my life where the corresponding energies to that current moon phase have been slightly different because of what cycle I was in, what stage of my cycle I was in. Words are hard today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I have another one coming out, if not at the same time as this video, very soon. So I look forward to you guys seeing that, and I see that there's a lot of new faces on my channel. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you here, and I am so happy to share more things with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.